You are live on 98.9 Northwest FM. This is the Tuesday Review. I'm Nathan, as always, joined by James. How you going, James? What's something's made you happy in the last week?
I was hanging out with my cousin on Sunday, which I haven't seen her in a long time, so that was good.
Very good.
Yeah.
Also joined by Alum. On time for once. How you going, Alum? What's something's made you happy this week?
I do what I can to keep the people happy. Something that's made me happy this week is Rick and Morty Season 8. I only watched the first episode.
Yeah.
Because I kept getting bloody teased, not teased, but like, brain rot YouTube shorts.
Oh, yeah.
It was like bits and pieces, and it was very clearly a Matrix episode.
So the first episode
yeah,
was?
so I'm like, well, I guess I'll have to watch it.
Yeah.
And I had a great time.
Very good. Also joined by Callum. What's something's made you happy in the last week?
Clocking off work coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah. As for me, something's made me happy in the last week. I decided this weekend just to disconnect. I'm like, signed out of everything. I turned the
notifications off.
All the kind of the work apps off. Just turned them offline, appeared offline. I'm like, you know what? This weekend is for me and my mental health.
Yep. Got to do it.
Sometimes you just have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But it made me happy.
Yeah.
Moving straight along, we got some housekeeping, I guess, to address first. The first thing we want to mention is the YouTube interviews are up from our time at ChaosiumCon.
Yeah, so if you listened to last week when we talked about some interviews we did with game creators at ChaosiumCon, those the video interviews are up on YouTube. There's also some other footage we have which we'll put up eventually, so keep an eye out for that.
The lesson I learned is that James is better at video editing than me.
But this is why I want to sit down with you and just show you a couple of tips and tricks. But also, I'm not good at it. Also, I'm just very...
it just takes you 6
obsessive.
years.
Yeah, like it takes me all day to edit one 10-minute video because I'm like... And it still doesn't come out that good. But yeah. Oh, one thing... Do you remember last week we were talking about Mark's tabletop game Looking Glass Jukebox? We're talking about our fake 60s band was the directors.
Yes. Alum, if you had to have a fake 60s director name, what would it be? Like, inspired by a film director. So mine was Martin Porchesi, as Martin Scorsese. We came up with another one off the air, Sylvester Still Alone, and he's a rogue who never doesn't talk to anyone.
Yeah, I guess he's also a filmmaker.
Yeah.
The only one I could think of was Quentin Tamburino.
That's pretty good. What about you, Alan? Do you have one?
You have to give me...
Yeah, put you on the spot. We'll come back.
We did it last week. We were like, we'll come back after the break, and we didn't have any. But after,
Quentin Tamburino is probably... That's up there.
Yeah. I've thought of that one. I was thinking of some other ones. I'm like, nah, that's the only half-decent one.
Anyway, so they're out on YouTube. Go have a look. Put a name to a face.
Mm-hmm.
See what we're talking about.
You got to play the trap card. I'd be Alfred Bigcock.
Classic Alum. Is there a soundboard sound for whatever that was?
You give the AI a couple of seconds to think.
There is. You got to give the AI a couple of seconds.
Did he have think deeply enabled?
You have to go through the neural networks.
Soundboard's not working.
Find the absolute best.
There is one. I'm trying to press it.
Don't be rude.
Yeah.
Give it a second, and then it finds the key.
Anyway, we'll move on. The other things we have to announce before we get straight into it is the PAX Tabletop has once again, every year it gets expanded.
Yes.
And it's been expanded once again.
Which is insane because it's already huge.
It's what the people want.
Yeah. That's our favourite part of this thing at this point.
It's one of the places where people don't leave feeling pissed off, I think. No, it's key.
No,
right?
it's true.
When like you sign up for a tabletop, you get your time slot, you go in there, most of the time, the DMs are very, very good. They're very well prepared.
Yeah, they are very professional.
They take people through, a proper story, get them a good experience, and everyone leaves kind of happy.
And it's a personal thing because you're often playing their creation.
Yeah.
And I think specifically...
And you're playing something that you wouldn't know about otherwise.
Yeah. Versus,
going to the Sony
I love you, Jake,
Sega
if you're
booth.
listening. You're like our friend Jake. You stand in line for 3 hours to play some Nintendo Switch.
That he's going to buy anyway.
Yeah. And then
the game comes out in like a week, and he's literally wasted a whole day at PAX waiting in line.
Yeah,
for
you
like,
wait in line for 3 hours. Your legs are hurting
for like a 2-minute demo.
Yeah, for like a 2-minute demo. And then,
it's Sonic, Jake. Everyone knows how Sonic plays, mate.
Yeah.
It's fine. You'll be okay.
And it's like, I would be pissed off at the end of that.
Yeah.
I remember how, what was it? It was Horizon Zero Dawn where I think we waited about an hour and 15 minutes overall.
Oof.
And we watched a little gameplay thing, and then we got actually time with the game. I think it was like dead on 5 minutes at most with the game.
Oh, was it a Resident Evil game or was it God of War kind of game where people waited for hours and it was just like a trailer?
Yeah.
Mm.
And like I'd be furious after that.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I paid
Resident Evil.
$15 for a bloody hot dog, you know, and $180 for these tickets, whatever, and then you maybe wait in line 3 hours for this. Like, whereas with tabletop, a lot of it, if you get in early enough, you can book a slot. You don't have to wait in line for it, really. And then you go have a great experience, and then you come out feeling, fulfilled in a way.
If you can get a slot,
Yeah.
they go very quick.
Which is why they're
That's
expanding.
why we get there. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, expanding and we get there early. So
That's why we
Don't-
get
don't
there
flex-
extra
don't flex
early.
on
Yeah. But yeah, I think also, as you were saying, tabletop's the one area where people don't really leave disappointed because the whole kind of the video game part is up and down depending on the year, right? What's
Yeah.
coming out. It's also not a great time in the video game era.
oh, it's awful.
Like-
We
yeah,
should.
we won't go into it, but obviously,
Xbox is doing awful things. I'll just say that.
yeah, like studios getting cancelled, games getting cancelled.
Yeah.
Tabletop doesn't really have that issue as much
Yeah, I guess so.
because like board games are bigger than ever. Like there's tabletop board games. That area of PAX is probably doing quite well. Specifically this year, we've got Warhammer landing in PAX for the first time. Now I don't know how I
For
feel
the
about
first
this.
time.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
That's surprising.
Well,
Is
like
that
the
like
official-
Warhammer that's landing for the first time? I'm assuming
Because they've
it's
had
been-
Warhammer.
It would be official.
Yeah.
they've had figurines before, but I'm guessing that like having an official Warhammer
But the
thing where
nerds
you
playing
can play.
Warhammer.
Yeah. No, but see,
I-
the problem with Warhammer is those games can last a long
We could talk about it
time.
all episode because I love Warhammer, just the aesthetic and the crazy like.
I have opinions on the company
the-
itself, but we won't go
Oh.
there
Yeah,
on the air.
Exactly, but the whole culture around it and the company, it's a whole thing we could go on. And
Yeah.
on
But
about,
also,
so.
is PAX the right venue for Warhammer? As Callum was
Of
saying,
course it is.
but the lengths of the games and like
So
the space
thing
they would
about it is
need.
they'd have to be running like
They could have their own little section like Magic does.
well,
Yeah, but Magic.
but
is
also
like two
they'll
people
have
at
to
a
be
table.
playing. I'm not a Warhammer expert. I'm presuming that there are smaller scale skirmishes which can play out over an hour or so.
Yeah, like a one shot.
Yeah, like a little battleground or something that they can just kind of pit armies. It'll be pre-made armies.
Mm.
It'll be well balanced. They'll know that they'll need it'll take 1 or 2 hours per game, much like a tabletop D&D thing.
Yeah.
But I think that Warhammer would probably be a better bet for like some. You need a specialist one if you wanted to really showcase Warhammer, because there's like a million armies, and there's also the paint side, and then there's the books and the comics and all the different versions of
Well,
it.
they did have last year. They had like the section of like people painting miniatures and teaching you how to what
Yeah.
paint to use and stuff. So it could just be all like incorporated
Maybe,
in
unless they bring out the 12-foot tables and they're like, "This is our area, and there is no more console free play." Like,
They're like
I'm being a smart ass, but
the Warhammer section, so everyone else can be like nerds.
that.
that's it. Yeah, in the hierarchy of nerds, Warhammer is right at the bottom. Yeah.
Says a lot.
Anyway, moving this along a little bit, Spider-Man's also coming to Magic the Gathering at PAX. They're bringing in the new kind of
Lame.
multiverse Magic the Gathering.
Spider-Man.
Kind
I'm
of
sorry,
PAX.
lame.
Yeah.
All of these crossovers, Magic the Gathering.
It's like Fortnite.
People,
Yeah.
that's what I was about to say. People love it. Like Final Fantasy's doing a big crossover. I'm like, no, stop it.
Yeah.
Magic the Gathering is a set universe.
Yeah, remember
Leave
when,
it alone.
Remember when games were just like their own universe
Yeah.
and not
Yeah.
trying to tie into
it was
other
cool when they did the Lord of the Rings crossover, though.
I guess that
And
makes
then-
sense.
And then
Yeah,
Post
but it's
Malone
like how
spent
long
millions of
until
dollars.
Bob's Burgers comes to Magic's Gathering?
Actually, that would be
interesting.
pretty cool.
No, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I don't care. Stop it.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's not talk over each other.
Apologies.
Yes, when Post Malone spent millions of dollars buying the One Ring for Magic the Gathering.
Respect.
Also, there's a new trading card game coming to PAX this year called MetaZoo. I don't know what that's about. I'm guessing it's animals and
We'll look
collections
into
and
it.
zoos
Is
and
it
whatnot.
linked to Facebook?
I guess so. Is it
Meta.
MetaZoo?
Oh, is it?
It's not.
I
It's a
doubt it.
trading card game. I don't
Yeah.
know why the Zuck would be interested
No.
in that.
I reckon he would.
You reckon he
There's
would?
some
He's not that kind
there's
of
a digital
nerd.
aspect to it, and you sell your data. It'd be something that we.
Nah,
can sell
he's
your
a
data.
finance nerd. He's not a trading card nerd. They're different nerds.
Mm.
Bandai's coming with One Piece, Gundam, Digimon, and Dragon Ball Z games. I'm guessing some sort of trading card game. And Disney Lorcana returns with magical challenges and exclusive promos.
Hopefully that was
Hopefully
all the
whatever.
area this time.
Yeah. Whatever, Disney.
Yeah, that's it. Disney just passively aggressively paying for a large swathe of space at PAX and not using
Allegedly,
it.
yeah.
Only for no one to
Allegedly.
use it.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, Disney is as
Yeah.
Disney does. That's why it's not out of character necessarily.
Yeah.
But let's not get ourselves sued tonight.
Very
Yeah.
excited for the PAX tabletop
Still,
area.
yeah. I mean, looking forward to it.
I know the real question is will Chaos Sim be there?
Always.
They
Hope
were last couple of years.
I hope so.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll be repping them hard.
100%.
Anyway, let's move right along. Anyone watched anything interesting recently, James?
Well,
F1?
yes. Vroom vroom. I took my dad to see the F1 movie with Brad Pitt. He is a massive motorsport fan, especially F1. And
That's all I have to say about it.
no. I actually would have seen it whether he wanted to come or not, just because I was curious, and it didn't look bad. And it's directed by Joseph Kosinski, who did Top Gun Maverick,
Ooh.
and who also did Tron Legacy, which I am a huge fan of. And he did Oblivion with Tom Cruise, which I don't love, but it has really cool visual elements and design. And so he's a good visual technical director, and the races and stuff look cool. And I was like, I'm going to go see this.
The one thing I liked about this film
Mm.
in the lead up to the movie was the haptic trailer on the iPhone. Alan, did you get a chance
Oh,
to look
yeah.
at the haptic
No.
trailer on the iPhone? Turn the volume down and play the haptic trailer while we're talking about it on your iPhone.
Is this on YouTube or?
It's look it up on the internet and there'll be like a little Apple hyperlink
Yeah.
at the top.
Your phone vibrates as the car moves. It's
Yeah.
like you're in the car.
Yeah,
That's
there's
really
actual Apple motor haptic vibrations going on when you watch a trailer. Have a look at it while we're talking about it. It's really cool.
Hmm.
That's one thing I like. Apple, Apple, love them or hate them, they always try to do something a bit, technologically forward.
Yeah.
Something that it's always things that have been done before, and then Apple paints it their own and be like, "Look at this brand new invention."
Yeah.
But they
It's a
try.
fun little
It's
marketing
a fun
gimmick.
little marketing gimmick,
Yeah,
and I
that's
think
right.
and I think this actually worked quite well because bringing people in, look, they're doing something different with a movie trailer. If you watch it on the phone, you get the haptic rumble, and it worked really well.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hold it horizontal,
But-
please.
you have to hold it in both hands because then
It's
you're
not gonna make
getting-
sense, Alan.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but I ended up really enjoying the movie. It's too long. It's a little over 2.5 hours, which I usually don't mind, but I don't think the movie needs to be that long. They repeat a couple of beats a few times. I'm like, all right, we get it. And it's a standard sports drama, like standard sports movie plot, script, characters are pretty, one-dimensional. Nothing to write home about. But just on a technical level, it's very impressive. The races are really good.
Limited CG for the cars.
That's the thing, is there's a lot of visual effects, but it's all that good invisible visual effects. Like CG, that's not in your face. Like you can't really tell.
So
And
it looks
there's
like
a lot
they're
of
really driving the cars.
yeah, and there's a lot of practical, actual racing and crashing and stuff. So that for me, like every time they were racing, I was like, yes, this is awesome. And yeah, it's just I'm not really a F1 fan. I'm only through osmosis through my dad, and sort of knowledgeable about it. But it's become huge recently. Especially with the internet and the Netflix show Drive to Survive, which is huge. Even people who don't watch F1 watch the show. So it's interesting just to see how big it's gone. And now they're making a branded movie, but which, usually make a branded movie. It's whatever. But it's just technically a well-made movie. So for a brand movie, pretty good.
That's one thing with F1, as you were saying, I've never really found entertaining. And I'd like to ask people why they find it entertaining, especially things with F1 or the Grand Prix kind of racing, where they're just racing in a circle.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
NASCAR?
NASCAR is
whatever it
circle,
is.
yeah.
It's like they're coming back around again. It's like, zoom,
and
they
that's
got-
crazy
it's
because in the US, hundreds of thousands of people show up to
Yeah.
in the blistering heat and just watch
Yeah.
it all day. It's crazy. It's the most popular thing.
yeah,
in
and
the
it's
South.
kind of just like, why? I'm like, they're all excited for the cars to come around again, and they're gone in half a second, and we'll check back in a few more minutes. Oh, they're still coming.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Within that minute, especially with the jumbotrons and everything else, a lot of people have done, even within NASCAR, which is pretty simplistic in the grand scheme of things, you're just turning left in a big old course, right?
Yeah.
That's all they're kind of doing. Even in that, there is so much technique and kind of gameplay,
Yeah.
where you're kind of focusing on one. You don't want to be at the front of the pack, even though you want to win, because if you're at the front of the pack, you're getting hit by the drag. You want to be in the pack, but not too far back, because then you can't get ahead. Like planning your whole route out when you know you've got like 100 laps or whatever, making sure that you do your pits on time, so you're not running out of fuel, you're not ruining your tires. Everything when that kind of comes together, it does become quite exciting. I still think it'd be far more exciting if it wasn't in a circle, but you know, there is, I guess, once you get fully into it, kind of what you see, like I guess you develop those parasocial relationships with teams and, you know, races.
That's the thing is
You've also got to embrace the lowest common denominator. Don't forget the crashes.
Yes.
That's it's
And the beer.
That's the best part of it.
like hoping fingers crossed for a
It's like
People
just
fiery crash.
It's like, yeah, I got the guy. I got the guy.
People just go there as an excuse to get tanked. That's what I'm hearing.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
But-
also, you know, don't be in the front row because you might have a final destination on your hands.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in terms of F1, obviously there is even more like NASCAR is like more simple, whereas F1 there's more strategy and there's more stuff to do with the cars, because NASCAR is stock cars, whereas F1 you can do, you know, within rules, within restrictions, you can mod your car and stuff. And thing I liked about the movie was showing the techniques of racing. Brad Pitt's character does a lot of stuff that would get him disqualified in every race, but it was still it made an interesting thing that you usually wouldn't see in a racing movie, where he's using the safety cars like as a strategy to help his teammate and stuff like that. So at least that made it more interesting than just I'm the best at racing, vroom vroom, I won.
I have the best car. Look
Yeah,
at me.
it's more like, all right, here you got to drive offensively, here you got to drive defensively, and there was some, even though realistically he'd probably get banned or, you know, penaltied so hard, but no, it's a I called it the perfect dad movie. Like it's a simple sports drama, racing. That's it.
Yeah.
Like nothing offensive, nothing out of the box. I will say Brad Pitt. I won't say he phones it in, but he's just there.
I mean, his last couple of films.
There's not
I don't know.
There's not a lot. I mean, the script wise, there's not a lot for him to work with. But I thought Kerry Condon and Damson Idris were both really good in their roles. So I mean,
I think Brad Pitt needs to get hungry again. I think that's the problem. Is he just coasting?
yeah. I mean, now he's just
he needs a death wish, like Tom Cruise.
he doesn't have to do that, but he needs to.
He needs to take some challenging roles.
I mean, there was once upon a time in Hollywood, which they're apparently doing the spin-off with him, and that's
he
weird.
was good in that. I will say.
I liked
Yeah,
him that.
so he probably just needs to
Especially
work
when
on
he beat up
more.
Bruce Lee.
Like even Bullet Train, I
less-
feel like Bullet Train was the start of
That
the
was
slump,
bad. That was bad.
But he kind of tried.
Yeah.
And then Wolves, he did not try.
Oh, I didn't see that, but apparently
Yeah.
it was real bad.
Did you watch Rush?
Yes,
So how did it compare to Rush?
I think Rush is better. Rush is based on a true story, whereas this one is, you know, fictional.
Based on a brand.
Yeah, it's fictional, but it's like based, like there are real, like Lewis Hamilton's, like all the, it's basically,
It's a fictional racer in a real world.
yeah, it's like fictional, you're following fictional characters and a fictional race team, but they're in the real F1, like there are, all the other teams are real and all the other drivers are the current drivers now. But yeah, Rush is more like a historical, like based on, obviously fictionalized to an extent. Rush is probably better overall. I never saw the Gran Turismo movie that came out a few years ago. I still need to watch that.
I remember you saying you were going to go watch it.
Yeah, I was, and then it never happened, and I kept putting it off, and now it's been years. Need for Speed I watched. That's a weird movie.
Yeah, it's
The
weird.
fact that I never heard anyone talk about Gran Turismo after it came out says all I need to know.
Yeah.
I was like, I forgot that movie existed until you mentioned it just now.
Honestly, like,
No cultural impact.
it's because Neil Blomkamp made it, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. I really want to see it, and I just kept putting it off, and I'll get around to it. Eventually.
All right, we'll move on. Do we want to hear from me with a classic or a mid movie or a terrible film?
Let's go with a terrible film. All right.
So I've been rewatching. Obviously, I should be watching the Know What You Did Last Summer franchise.
Oh yes, we'll talk about this soon in a couple of weeks. Yeah.
And I watched the first one, which I liked. The second one, I didn't like as much, but it had better kind of kills, I guess. And it had Jack Black. The third one, which was a bit harder to track down, called I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer. It was straight to DVD,
Hmm.
2006. It's a movie of its era, Mr. LMD. Straight to DVD movie, early 2000s. You know, it doesn't have, I guess, that's not an honorary title, listeners. You know,
Yeah.
back when it was straight to VHS, it could be a horror movie, it could be dangerous. You know, you never knew. But straight to DVD was never a good
Especially when you've got a franchise that like started off, it was like popular, had the second one, and then it's like
But even the
by
second,
the third one they were like,
even the second one made a lot of money.
yeah,
I don't
so
know what happened.
rights issues maybe, and then
Maybe.
maybe they literally only made the third movie to keep the rights.
Well, no, I don't know. It was a cursed film.
Hmm.
So I did some research into this movie. I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer. And the studio, the movie fell apart and they lost their director.
Hmm.
And Sylvain White who was hired as director.
Hmm.
They only gave him 2 weeks to cast the film, prep the locations, come up with a shooting schedule, and then make the movie.
Hmm.
He had only 2 weeks to basically do all the pre-production and then shoot.
Yeah.
And somehow he made a movie.
Oh,
Like, look, the movie's not good.
yeah.
The movie's shit.
Yeah.
And it looks shit.
But he did it.
But he did it. No, and like that's like people hate on this movie for calling it like it's terrible, and it is terrible, but that's not his fault.
Mm.
Like if someone turned around to us and they say, you know, here's a small amount of money for like a big IP at the time,
Mm.
go make a movie, you have 2 weeks to get started, we wouldn't do anything.
Yeah.
You'd be in decision paralysis.
Mm.
You wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
Somehow he made it happen.
Hmm.
And he used practical effects. They're not very good, but he's like, I want to do it right. I don't want to use CG. I want to use practical.
Yeah.
And I mean, they probably only gave him like a camcorder to shoot the movie with, but still,
Yeah.
he made it work in his own way.
Tomato sauce blood.
Yeah. So, like, I'm not saying it's unfairly maligned, but I think people obviously need more context when watching this movie, and the
Mm.
fact that the movie was made on.
But also, why did it come to that? You know?
Yeah, so I wasn't able to find out what exactly happened
Mm.
with the original production.
Yeah.
But basically, the studio fired the director, and Sylvain White came on board and had to start again.
Yeah.
They had to start fresh
Mm.
with only 2-week deadline, which is insane.
Yeah. And
So it's not a good movie. It's a good franchise, but the third entry is not good at all,
Mm.
and it's weird. And they turned the villain. Spoiler alert, it's not considered canon anymore, but
well, I'm gonna watch it soon. So
I won't say
Don't spoil
spoiler. I won't spoil it for you then. But it has a ridiculous ending that kind of is just really silly.
okay. Yeah.
So we'll leave it at that, and
Yeah.
you can be
I'll,
be impressed when you
Yeah.
watch it.
It's been 20 years since that one came out, and now the reboot call is coming out,
Mm.
which we've seen a lot of horror movie like legacy sequel reboots.
Scream kicked that all off.
Yeah. So we'll see that, and then we'll talk about maybe all those movies in a
Yeah.
couple of weeks.
I mean, I'll give some pros to this film too. Like there are some cool moments. There's a swimming scene where the bad guy like hooks a guy's leg and he's like swimming on the spot, which is a cool idea. You got the
Yeah.
fisherman hook. I'm like, you know, it's a little bit inventive with what it has in its lower budget range, right? There's kind of like some dream sequences, like mental imagery moments that are really cool. As characters are like kind of losing their cool and they're
Okay.
like kind of imagining things, and like there's some really cool imagery. And the forklift scene,
Okay.
which I won't go into. The forklift scene is pretty cool. But everything is just held back by the cursed production and the budget.
Yeah.
So I'm like, it's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, the movie's terrible, but it's not necessarily the director's fault.
Yeah.
It's
and
not the production's
considering-
fault. It's the
considering-
studio's
Yeah.
fault.
Considering the restrictions they had, it's like
yeah.
you gotta at least say, you know,
Everyone
they
worked
did
really
it.
hard on this film with like no notice and no budget.
yeah.
So I can't hate on it.
Mm.
It's not good, but it's not its fault.
All right. Since we're in horror mode, should we talk about Clown in a Cornfield?
Yes, we should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
So
briefly.
on the Friday where nothing happened at Chaosium Con,
yeah.
apparently someone on our YouTube commented on our video for Chaosium Con and said, "What do you mean Friday was the best day?"
Yeah, I want to talk to that person.
You're like, do you know something we don't know?
yeah.
Yeah, like are we
You
left out?
hustling us?
Yeah, we
Well,
getting hustled.
did we walk in and everyone like hid?
Yeah,
And then we walked and they all came out and celebrated?
yeah, I think so. No, I don't know. I think so. You know, there's some shenanigans going on.
Weird,
there.
weird situation. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Anyway, So Friday was the best day. We still had a good day.
We had a
damn it.
good time.
Yeah, we had a good day, but now I'm just confused because the Mooney Valley Racecourse people told us that it started on
I
Saturday.
think it was just
Did they lie to us?
Yeah, I think it was just a day for the exhibitors to set up, and like they must have got there later. But who was there, I don't know, and
I
why
don't know.
other people who wanted to go anyway.
Anyway,
We watched Clown in a Cornfield. I was curious to see this one because it's kind of a fun.
yeah, and
Title?
it's also a Shudder movie. So
Well, yeah, but Shudder's got some.
I was gonna
okay
say that's
stuff.
not necessarily a bad thing.
No, but
Shudder's an
but it's also a Shudder movie that came out at the cinema,
Mm.
and not only came out the cinema, came out like to a mainstream release in Australia as well as the US. So yeah, in that kind of way, I was like, oh, this might be fun. Also, I think the director was the guy who did Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Let me check. Julian McMahon passed away. Did you see that?
Yes.
Yeah, that was sad.
Yeah.
He was great in The Surfer. Remember I talked about The Surfer a couple
Yeah.
of weeks ago?
What about Madsden? He passed away too.
Yeah, Michael Madsen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man, everyone's freaking... It feels like when one goes, everyone, like a
Yeah.
whole bunch... I don't know if
There's
it's
always
just,
it always comes in threes.
Yeah. Tucker and Eli Craig directed...
Yeah. If Tucker
he
and Dale
did.
versus Evil. Yeah.
Yeah, which is a great movie. Great horror comedy.
Yeah.
And so Clown in Cornfield, I'm like, well, he's got the chops. So I was looking forward to watching it. Didn't get to see it at the cinema. Came on Shudder. We were like, all right, let's watch it. I didn't think it was very good, but Nathan did
I liked
because
it.
he likes bad
Haters-
movies.
Haters gonna hate.
So
Alan would have liked it too.
I fall somewhere in the middle. I enjoyed it. I was not at any point during the film was I disengaged from it.
I didn't hate it, yeah.
That's not to say that it was good. There's a distinction. I
will-
think that the cinematography wasn't the best.
It's kind of an ugly brown.
The
digital-
characters weren't particularly compelling.
No.
The set design was okay. The town itself has some charisma.
Hmm.
The kills were average.
Yeah.
There were some cool moments. There was, it wasn't particularly scary, but what is these days?
Yeah, but also, the first half was a real slog. I was like,
Yes.
this is really... Then in the middle, there's like a fun little reveal and like a set piece with some horror and clown killing. And I was like, oh, this is fun. And then just kind of goes down again. And I was just-
The screenplay was far too safe
yeah.
and very, very, what's the word? We called it all. As it happened, we
yeah,
were like, oh, this
very,
is going to
very
happen.
predictable.
Yes.
A lot of cringe dialogue and not in a fun B-movie, like
Yeah.
just in a real... And also for a movie called Clown in a Cornfield about a killer clown, wasn't very funny or silly or zany. I was like, they could have really, especially from the guy who did Tucker and Dale versus Evil, it's like they really could have made this really kind of wacky.
Yeah.
But also, yeah, because it's not scary either,
Mm.
I'm like, well, there's nothing really. It's
That
not
being
funny,
said,
it's not
like I said,
scary, it's not...
Still held my attention.
Yeah, I
Didn't hate it.
I didn't hate it.
I would say
I would potentially watch it again if I'm bored and like.
I probably wouldn't, but also the end kind of sets up a sequel, and I was kind of like, oh, I don't know how I feel.
Clowns in a cornfield.
Yeah, with a $sign.
Clown in cornfields.
Clown in cornfields. Yeah.
Cornfield.
I would say as well, looking at this movie, another interesting film, that the budget for this movie was only $1 million.
That explains more.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
they certainly put the money on the screen in that case.
Yeah, okay, fair
Yeah.
enough. Props to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I won't bump up my score, but
No,
just in general, I will say props to what they did.
again, money on the screen there, and that's the real micro budget movie in today's world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially
relative-
with a name associated
relative,
with it, like
yeah.
Shudder.
Yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
yeah. So not great, but what
yeah.
can you do?
Look, I think it's worth a watch. Everyone else is gonna hate.
yeah, but
it
you're-
is worth a watch.
There's a movie I'm assuming you're going to talk about soon that will show your...
Maybe
taste
not.
in
Maybe
movies.
we'll leave the audience surprised. We'll be right back after these quick messages. You are back on 98.9 Northwest FM. This is the Tuesday review. I guess we'll move along now. Alan, you've been quiet this episode. Have you seen anything recently?
I really
worth
haven't.
mentioning?
Like I discussed the Rick and Morty episode, but because it's so fresh, I will leave that.
I'm
finishes.
waiting for the season to end so I can binge it
Yeah,
all.
so we'll probably do a discussion on that maybe when the season finishes.
Yeah.
Mm.
But from episode 1, it seems to be a pretty solid season.
Excellent.
Which, considering it's 8 seasons in. I
From
think it's
episode 1.
What?
Episode 1 of the newest season.
Oh, no, so you can't judge a whole season.
Yeah, but like if the first
Strong
episode's
start.
crap.
Oh,
yeah,
strong
like, it's a
start.
strong
Yeah,
start.
yeah.
Mm.
Is what I'm saying. So again, because YouTube is just pushing the shorts onto me, I'm like, I might as well just watch it all and then kind of at least I'm not spoiled that way.
Yeah. Callum, have you seen anything noteworthy of interest?
So I'll be kind of quick because it's more of a multimedia thing. I've got a couple things in different formats to talk about. I finished Yakuza 0,
Very good.
the video game, the prologue video game for the Yakuza franchise. I thought it was really good. Now the problem is the combat in this franchise is very samey. It's like the same gameplay loop. You beat up some guys to save someone, you get the money, you level up your guy, and rinse and repeat.
You do the ninja chop, then the Judy chop.
That's right. That's right. Or in my case, the baseball bat and like the wrestling throws and whatever. But
And
what
the
I will
bicycle
say,
the bicycle throw is a good one. In Yakuza.
yes.
Yeah.
What I will say is that it has such a great gangster Yakuza. It's in the name, but like mafia style story where it's about the criminal underworld and navigating like the underbelly of
Tokyo.
Yeah, but no. Well, there's 2 locations.
Yeah. But it's all in
Yes.
Tokyo. Different districts.
Yeah, and it's just great. Like
Kamishiro or something like that.
yeah, and then there's I think the other one's Okinawa maybe.
Anyway,
I
yeah,
can't
go on.
remember.
No, Okinawa's where the
Okinawa,
island
yeah.
where
Yeah, but it's like
Mr.
a
Miyagi's from.
yeah, it's like a gambling. There's like one that's a gambling place. I can't remember exactly, and then the other one's,
Shinjuku.
okay.
I don't know.
Shinjuku, Shibuya, yeah.
Anyway,
Shinjuku's
regardless,
like the nightlife capital, which a lot of gangsters hang out in.
Nathan, can you look up the
it
location?
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Go on, Cal.
Anyway, yeah, it's a great. So obviously, me not having played the Yakuza games before, most people had played the franchise when this game came out. Since this game was a later release that was served to deepen the
It's
characters.
a later game, but it's a prequel.
It's a prologue game, yeah, to like the rest of the franchise. So the expectation is most people already know the characters that it's setting up. I didn't. So to me, it was a great introduction to characters who in this game are deeply layered, who become simpler as the franchise. You know what I mean? So like in the first game, Yakuza Kiwami, I'm sure they'll be a little bit simpler because this was made for like the PS2.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great. Lots of mini games, lots of funny quests.
The Yakuza games are weird. I mean, Japanese games in general are kind of
That's what I was
weird,
gonna say,
but,
yeah.
But the Yakuza games are notoriously, like, you play as, like, a gangster, but there's all these weird side quests.
That's right. So one of the gangsters, Goro Majima, gets, for story reasons, gets kicked out of the Yakuza, but he ends up becoming an ace cabaret club owner.
Mm.
And, like, his side mission is all about, like, recruiting the right girls to talk to the guys and getting the money and, you know, running a cabaret club.
Yeah, and that's one of the more normal ones.
Yeah, and then, like, you can be, like, you have, like, a rental business and you shake people down or whatever, and it's, you know, it's crazy. But I really liked it. I'm looking forward to diving into the franchise. I started playing Silent Hill 2, restarted, and let me say, it is horrific. I was saying to Nathan, I'm not even exaggerating when I say it's the scariest game I've ever played.
Yeah.
It's torture.
Yeah.
So I'll have my proper review once I finish that.
Nice.
Very
10
scary.
years. Yeah.
And I finished watching the anime Shangri-La Frontier, which has 2 seasons.
And
And
like context for listeners, it's an MMO based on
Yes.
characters playing a video
that's
game.
what I was gonna say. It's about VR gaming, not just the titular MMO Shangri-La Frontier.
But it's not based on a game, it's an anime about
It's an
a
anime.
game.
Yeah. So it's based on a manga or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's about a character who plays what he calls trash games. So a broken game. He gets really good at playing video games because he only plays broken games, like games where it's too difficult or, you know, whatever. And so he plays the most popular game in the world, begrudgingly. You know, he's like, I want to play something new, so he plays the most popular one, and then he has adventures in that that setting. But then, you know, not really spoilers for season 2, but season 2 deepens that world a bit where they leave. He stops playing that MMO and starts looking at other games, and it's all virtual reality gaming. So it's then it expands on the world of that. So it's like suddenly it's different games, and he starts associating with different people. And me, you know, it's really interesting. It doesn't have the budget that Solo Leveling does.
Yeah.
In terms of like the action set pieces, but when it does put those great action set pieces, it looks awesome. But like it's not as compelling as something like Solo Leveling, but it's also more of a typical shonen style anime, where it's like it's not so much about the story as it is about the characters. Whereas like Solo Leveling's much more of a narrative driven.
Solo Leveling, I'd say it's an action show.
Yeah, but like the Solo Leveling's more involved with like the big storytelling, if that makes sense, and the world and the mysteries. Whereas Shangri-La Frontier is more about one guy and, you know, just having fun in this fantasy world.
And I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's parts of Solo Leveling where I have questions. I'm like, ooh, there's something more going on behind the surface.
That doesn't happen in Shangri-La Frontier.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Which we would be able to talk about if Alan finished the show.
I'll do it by the next week, I swear.
But who knows when we'll get to talk about it again.
Stop bullying me.
So yeah, that's
at work.
That's pretty much all I've got.
Don't lie, you do the bullying.
Yes.
Well, I've got one more, and Nathan's got another one. Who do you want to go?
Well, look, I can talk about a classic or a mid movie. What do you want to hear about?
I want to hear about the classic, but I want you to get rid of the mid.
All right. I watched the Old Guard too. I rewatched the Old Guard, which I really like.
It's a bad movie, but it's a classic Nathan straight to streaming slop that he loves.
I liked the Old Guard, the first one from 2020. I liked it. I'll wear it on my sleeve. The Old Guard 2, another interesting production. It was filmed in 2022, and then Netflix cancelled it after it had finished its production.
What?
It was in post-production, and Netflix dropped it. And then everyone was just like, well...
But it was already finished.
Well, they finished principal
filming.
photography.
Okay.
So they were in like editing and post-production.
Yeah.
And they dropped it. They cancelled it. And then only when senior leadership at Netflix changed, they brought it back. I'm guessing the conversation would have been, it's already filmed. What do you mean you cancelled it? You've spent all this money to shoot it.
I was wondering why they waited 5 years.
Yeah, they didn't want to, but Netflix canned it. And then when senior leadership changed in Netflix, they brought it back because they've already done at least half the work.
Yeah.
And then they released it. So another interesting kind of movie where, see, you can't come back from Netflix cancellations, kids. I guess it depends if it's filmed or not.
Yeah.
But I didn't like this movie as much as I liked the first one. I think the first one had a lot of cool action set pieces. It had a lot of momentum going for it. It kind of threw you straight in. The second one, as I said in my Letterboxd review, it's serviceable, but it's a bit boring. It's doing just enough to set up the third movie. So I'm like, you could have. It's 1.5.
Okay.
It's just like, look, you know what? They could have checked an extra 20 minutes, half an hour onto the first movie, and you didn't need this movie.
Yeah, it's just bridging a gap.
It's just bridging. This is a bridging movie. Like, all they did was they kind of set up a couple of things in the first movie, which they pay off in this movie, but that payoff then has to lead to the third movie. So it's kind of just like, you could have just made a slightly better and longer film for the first movie and then just waited for the third movie to be the second movie, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You didn't need a whole movie for what this movie does.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of just kind of like dry dialogue and exposition. I'm like, you don't need any of it.
Yeah, it's weird how we've talked. Well, I mean, I guess we talk about it a lot on the show, but it's like we've gotten to a point where, because everything now is a franchise, or and everything's cookie cutter factory sort of too many cooks in the kitchen kind of.
I think
made by committee, algorithm driven.
I think I'd like to read the comic.
Oh yeah, I haven't read it, but
the Old Guard.
It's based on a comic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't read it, but just from the little I've seen, few panels here and there, few descriptions, it sounds way cooler than the movie.
Yeah, I'd like to read the comic to be like, is this how it plays out in the comic versus the movie?
Well,
Probably
maybe that's part of it. Is like that whether they're sticking to the comic or not, because the comic exists, they're like trying to go for a thing, and they're like spending too much time. But yeah, that's my point. Is there are all these movies now that are so, safe, boring, algorithm driven, made by committee, straight to streaming, whatever. And yet they still don't know what they're doing, where they're going, what they're writing for, even when they're based on an existing property. It seems so weird that there's not more of a structure. There's not more of a little bit of foresight into what they're doing. It's just a strange, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. Without knowing the whole behind the scenes, and it's just a strange. Yeah,
It's very strange. Well, have you got anything else, James?
Well, yeah, I saw David Cronenberg's The Shrouds, which I had been looking forward to because, we're all big Cronenberg fans, but especially because, his last movie was Crimes of the Future in 2022, I think, which we talked about back then. But his last movie before that was Maps to the Stars in 2014. So he had this huge gap, and then he did Crimes of the Future, and now he's done The Shrouds. And, I think he's 80 or 81 now, something like that. And it's, who knows if this will be his last or second last or whatever.
There's something going on between him and his son. He's like, I will not let you upstage me.
Yeah.
I won't be upstaged by my son.
I'll show you how it's done.
I have to make a movie now.
But like, when a filmmaker like this doesn't make a movie for a long time and then gets to an advanced age and then makes 2 movies in a relatively close time, I'm like, awesome, because we get more, but also like this could be his last run. So for me, like, not only was it, a new David Cronenberg, that's awesome. It's like, this is an important sort of moment potentially. I hope he lives forever, but, I hope he gets to make more movies, but you know what I'm saying, just on a practical level.
Yeah.
And it made it more special. Also because it's a very personal movie to him and his life, because he lost his wife. And this movie is about a man who loses his wife and uses technology and starts this technology company to... he has like this graveyard where people can implant a camera into like the grave of their loved one. And when you go visit their tombstone, you can like see their decaying body in the
surely
in the
that
coffin.
I mean, like, but how long does that last? Because surely it's just going to be, at a certain point, it's going to be, oh, look, there's nothing there but dust now, or a skull.
But that's the thing, is like they're slowly watching their loved one rot away. So it's literally part of it. And it's obviously a strange body horror movie, as Cronenberg is known for. But also it's a very personal movie because it's kind of based on like losing his wife and him interpreting that himself as an atheist, and like Vincent Cassel plays a version of Cronenberg in the movie. So it's like, as an atheist, it's like, what do you have when that person's gone? All you have is their bones, kind of thing. And when you lose someone, you not only lose them, it's like not only do you lose an emotional connection, you lose a physical connection, which obviously a lot of Cronenberg's movies are about, with sex and body horror and augmentation, whatever. So it's a very interesting movie. It's very deeply personal, and like I said, potentially a very important film in the David Cronenberg canon. And I liked it more than I didn't like it.
Okay.
But on the other hand, and there was some cool like visuals and stuff, and soundtrack, and the actors are fine and whatever. But on the other hand, watching it the whole time, I was watching it kind of like watching.
Was this in the cinema?
Yes. And it was only me, an older gentleman at the front, and 2 young, like guys around our age, maybe a bit younger, on the left of me, right?
That's one thing I want to complain about before you continue. Is that this is he's an important director.
Yeah.
Like you said, this could be his last film, and yet typical Australia, we get the film when it's like been readily available overseas.
Oh yeah, yeah. It is. It's
because we had opportunities to watch it via other means, and
Yeah.
you're like, no, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm going to wait until we get an
Yeah.
official release. Man, that
We
could not have
still-
paid off. You know what I mean?
yeah. We still get the ridiculous in the day and age of streaming and internet, and we still the
It's 'cause
movies come out, and
The
then
people
you
that
have to
decide,
wait.
the people that decide all this, are the old men who don't use
Yeah,
computers.
old man, and also there's all these stupid rights issues,
Yeah.
and then there's this thing of like they don't want to spend the money on bringing it to Australia if it doesn't do enough business in America, which makes sense. But then it's just like,
Just
well,
post
you're
the USB
losing
stick
the
in it.
business
Yeah.
that you would get
You don't have
anyway.
to post USB stick, man.
In
It's
the
all
mail.
just internet. It's all just the
Oh, yeah.
internet.
Yeah. What is it costing anyone to download a file from the
Nothing.
cinema
Yeah.
laptop or whatever?
Yeah.
Like,
That's the other thing is like with digital, it's like why is it so expensive if it's now everything can be
Transmitted
Beamed.
essentially for free.
yeah. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so I was in the cinema watching it. I really liked it. I think I liked it more than I didn't like it. But watching it, while I was watching it, and there was an older gentleman there and a couple of younger guys over here. I was kind of watching it the same way I watched Megalopolis. Kind of like, huh? This is baffling. This is a weird movie.
So I need to watch.
And
it.
not just not just Cronenberg weird, like just why did he do that?
White
Is
choices.
this,
Yeah.
is this intentionally funny or not? Oh, that's definitely a joke. But that's just an old man not understanding technology. Like I was kind of, it reminded me of Megalopolis. Both of these filmmakers are now in their 80s. Both of them are making a personal project.
Megalopolis is a triumph of the human.
Oh yeah,
spirit.
I loved
Yeah.
Megalopolis. Like
Yeah.
but I had the same sort of reaction where I was just like, there are these two legendary filmmakers, both in their 80s, both making a personal project, but both making bold choices, whether unintentionally or not, doing weird, funny things.
I mean, you know what? But that's the business. It's like you can either be a Martin Scorsese, who I guess plays it relatively safe,
yeah,
or you can go the other way and you can swing for the fences.
It's kind of more interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more fascinating, and I think, like I kind of enjoy that more because it's more interesting to watch. But yeah, there were moments where I was like, I don't know how intentional this is or how unintentional this is. The guys sitting near me, they were laughing their asses off. And then as soon as it finished, they're like, that sucked. They hated it.
But you were laughing the whole time.
And I was kind of like watching the credits, like, like touching my chin, like, yeah.
Yes.
That was interesting.
I don't think Cronenberg. I mean, I have strong feelings about Crash personally.
Yeah, this has Crash elements.
I don't think he's capable of making a film that sucks.
No,
even though I have issues with Crash.
Yeah,
Crash is still like a very interesting, complicated, well-made film.
Yeah,
so it's one of those
nothing
things
he
like,
makes is just going to be.
That's what I'm. Yeah,
safe or bland.
yeah,
Or
like he's definitely a divisive
unremarkable.
director.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just don't. I think saying Cronenberg made a movie that sucks feels unnatural to me.
Yeah. No, so I think it's. I'll be interested to see your guys' take on it. I think I liked it overall, and it's definitely something I was thinking about afterwards, where I was like, there's moving parts. There's parts of it that are, like I said, I was thinking about, and then there are other parts where I was like kind of scratching my head, and other parts where
is it like Reddit atheism stuff?
No.
Okay, so is it deeply cynical about life?
Because
like you get like like the edgelord style of like atheism, like there's no God.
You know how Heretic was kind of like the atheists, like all the talking points, and I was like, that's fine. I mean, I kind of agree with everything that character was saying, but then it went nowhere, and the second half was just kind of like whatever.
Yeah.
Whereas this movie is like I said, it's about watching your loved one rot away, which is a very Cronenbergian concept. But it's also about that physical connection that you lost. In addition to an emotional connection, you've lost that physical connection to the body, which is very Cronenbergian with the body horror and stuff. And there's more body horror in the movie. But yeah, he's not sitting around the whole time talking about how God doesn't exist and there's only bones in there. It does go, and like I said, because it is kind of baffling, it's not only about that. It's like then there's this whole like espionage thing. Like it becomes like existenz. There's a Videodrome kind of element where there's kind of like a spy thriller thing, and I'm like, what is going on? and yeah, so it's just
So now I can picture in my head the Megalopolis angle.
yeah, it's just there's a lot of stuff in there. It's some weird choices. Some of it I wasn't sure if it was intentional or not. Like some of it's funny, some of it's it's a strange movie, but I liked it. And like I said, it's Cronenberg, who's incapable of making a truly bad film. And also, it's just, looking at his career and his late career and, his personal life. It's a very interesting movie. So it's a very divisive movie. People are really hating on it. But I thought it was worth checking out. And I would like to see what you guys
It's also popular
feel.
to be cynical.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to films. It's very popular to be a cynic.
So a lot of it, I've been thinking a lot about... I saw the TV glow lately and like the weird reaction to that. And I think people are starting to some people are starting to come around to it. But yeah, I found
Everyone
it weird.
comes around eventually, James.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, we're always right, and we're always ahead of the,
Everyone else catches.
everyone else catches up to us.
I know that's an awkward thing to say, but it keeps happening.
Yeah, but it's weird. It's weird in a cinema world, especially now with Letterboxd and stuff like that, where in film Twitter, where it's like there are all these arty-farty people who are like trying to convince us of like merits of weirdo movies, but then when a truly weirdo movie comes out, they're like, "This is garbage."
Also, there are a lot of really bad takes. Even
Yeah.
on Letterboxd.
Oh yeah. Oh no, Letterboxd is full of garbage.
Man, even big time critics, I see some takes that rock my world with how bad they are.
No, it's insane. I mean,
there are some proper critics where they miss the point of the film completely. At least from my interpretation.
I mean,
so it's a weird time to be in film criticism because
and the internet,
everyone can be a critic now. It's a very
again, media literacy is important.
Media, and it's just it's. I mean, it's taste is subjective and whatever, but it is strange, like the discourse and the way the internet has changed it. And the way we've talked about how much the cinema landscape and Hollywood and stuff has changed, and the way people watch movies has changed, and so
I'm bracing myself for Superman reactions. I'm preparing myself psychically for people to be like, how come Superman isn't rounding up the illegals?
Yeah, well, there was a whole controversy of that with James Gunn, who was like, well, Superman's an immigrant, and so of course if you're an American, you should support immigration and be, and he's right, and
well, it's an interesting conversation. I'm sure we'll talk about this after when we talk about the Superman film. He's an illegal alien in the literal sense.
Yeah,
but he's also very much an American. In spirit, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The all-American
But
boys.
he also, we've talked about this before with other superheroes, and I think Captain America has probably come up, but it's like he represents what America should be.
Yes.
Not what America actually is.
Yeah.
If he was actually America, he'd be more like Homelander.
Yeah. I'm interested to see the Superman movie only because some of the reactions I've been seeing from a certain crowd, the red hat crowd,
the MAGA,
they hate it because it's woke. James Gunn's reaction is like, "Have you read the comics?"
No, that's what's so interesting. Is because he's not woke, he's hopeful.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the message has been interpreted as like Superman's a woke lefty Democrat.
Even with Marvel MCU representation.
Yeah.
It's not cool to have an outwardly wholesome, optimistic superhero.
Yeah.
There has to be levels of edge.
Because in conservative brain rot MAGA world, being a good person and having empathy and, being inclusive is woke, which means it's bad.
Yeah.
And these people are dumb and they should not be allowed to...
No, we're not going to give them much airtime except for the fact that James Gunn's response was basically... of course it's political.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like, but it shouldn't be. Like, kind of like, it's...
I mean, they're the ones making it a problem.
He said all comics are political, but I'm like, but it shouldn't be a problem. Like,
Yeah.
if you don't like the message of Superman, that's kind of on you.
Exactly.
But anyway.
Yeah, so if all goes to plan, hopefully we'll talk about Superman next week. But yeah, the Shrouds, it's good,
Yeah,
but weird.
Good weirdo movie.
Yeah, it should not be your first Cronenberg.
Start with Videodrome if you want to go into the deep end.
Yeah.
Back when James Woods was one of my favorites.
Yeah, speaking of Mago.
Anyway, we'll move on.
We always end on... we start the show with, like... We were deliberately starting the show with what's something good that made you happy, so that we'd... But we ended up always going
ends up
back.
with the fall of James Woods.
Because, I mean, life...
yeah.
We should end the show on a happy note as well.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We're just about out of time for tonight. Please like and share the socials. Like and share the show. Give us 5 stars. We're on all the platforms. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Newsmaster, and Blue Sky, pretty much.
Yeah.
We're
And
back on
YouTube.
Twitter eventually.
No.
Yes, we will.
No.
We might. You know what? Have
Once
you
the
seen
Epstein list is released, it'll be great.
What Epstein list apparently doesn't exist.
And also, do you see the footage of the cells are at completely different locations now? Apparently,
There's a time skip in the
There's a
video.
time
Oh
skip in
my
the video.
God.
Anyway,
I hate the world we live in.
Anyway.
See, it always comes back because the world we live in is awful and the
We
world's
might-
on fire.
Which is why we have to see Superman.
That's
yes.
it. We might join a new social media platform soon.
Oh, there's a new one?
At Jack has a new social media platform coming soon. That's offline. It's through Bluetooth.
Huh?
So if you're at a convention, we'll be on it, and you can send us messages. It's interesting. I'm interested in the technology behind it. It doesn't sound
as
very
soon as it
secure,
starts,
though.
my name's going to be off.
Classic Alan.
But, apparently, there's a new social coming out. It's in like Bluetooth, so it's a social media platform based on your location because it can only detect other devices in the Bluetooth area.
That's interesting. So then it's like you kind of...
It's just like a chat room.
If
Like
you
you know
chat-
when you're
if
on
They
an
have
airplane.
reinvented the Nintendo. You know that in Nintendo.
Yeah, then
DS?
have the Street
Yeah.
Pass or whatever
Yeah,
it was.
But
like
it's
when you-
interesting because it's like if you chat with someone, you're like, this person's cool. It's like you're like right near them, so you
Yeah.
can be like, hey...
It also has great potential for misuse.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
100%.
Oh,
that was my plan.
It's going...
Alan's like, we can't be on that wire.
It's
because
gonna
I'm
be
banned.
Yeah, it's gonna be bad.
Anyway,
Get the
yeah.
world record for getting banned as quickly off the social media. You know.
So we're on all those socials at Tuesday Review AU. We're on Substack at thetuesdayreview.substack.com. Rate us 5 stars. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, wherever you listen on your
We're on-
podcasting app.
We're on 91 subscribers on the YouTube. Let's hit
Yeah,
100.
Let's hit 100 before the end of the year, people.
I'm
That's
looking
it.
Tell a
for
friend to tell a friend to tell
That's
another
it.
friend.
We'll get Alan drunk and then throw him in the city and be like, make us friends. Here's some QR codes.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'll get arrested by the end of it. And I'm like, what is the charge? Talking about a podcast? A succulent film podcast?
We're on Letterboxd. I'm Nathan B.
Oh,
_90.
YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube. We've got the videos from the Chaos Con as well as other YouTube exclusive videos up there, and we'll have more future stuff as well. So make sure you're over at there as well.
Yeah, Letterboxd. I'm Nathan B. _90.
I'm Channel Drifter.
I'm Alan 20.
I'm Come Tuesday.
And we'll be back next with more amazing film content. Hopefully Superman. Thanks for listening, everyone. Catch you later. Adios, cousins.